Let's get started by installing Trove off of the App Exchange. So from the product listing page, we're going to click on Get It Now. I'm going to install this in my production environment. I've set up a demo developer account to install this into. Then I'll want to go ahead and log into that org. And you can decide to install it just for your admins, for all users, or for specific profiles. I'm going to install this for all users. And there, installation is complete. We're going to create a document library inside of Office 365 to store your Salesforce documents. In this case, I've got a developer instance of Office 365. I'll sign in. It's just a fresh install. And I'm going to navigate to sites. And in here, let's go ahead and just create a new site called Sales. In here, you can see we've already got a document library. We could use that one. Or if we wanted to create a new document library, I'm going to do Add an App. Select Document Library, and we'll give it a unique name. I'll call this, in this case, I'll call it Salesforce. And there we have the new document library that we're going to use to store the document. We're going to configure the document library that we just created. So I'm going to go to Library, Library Settings. In here, I want to create a new column. The column name is Salesforce Object ID. And I want to leave it as a single line of text. And everything else I'll leave default. The next thing I want to do is set this up as an index column. So I go into Index Columns, click on Create a New Index, and then go ahead and select that Salesforce Object ID that we just created. We'll go back to the document library, and in here I want to modify this view. What I would like to do is to show the title column. And I'm going to change this so that the title column is the first one that shows up. And then click OK. And there, we're all done with configuring the document library. Our next step is to set up the auth provider. So you want to do this from setup. So if you're not there, you can just click on setup up here. And then within the search all setup, we'll just type auth and select auth providers. In here, we want to create a new auth provider. We're going to select Microsoft Access Control Service. And here I'm going to fill in some placeholder values. Once I have those placeholder values set, I'm going to go ahead and click on Save. The next thing I want to do is I want to grab the callback URL. I'm just going to copy that. This next part, we're going to go back over into Office 365 and go into the site that has our document library. In our case, that site name is Sales. In Sales, when I pull it up, you can see the URL is sales_layouts 15 and then start ASP.x. I'm going to have you go in here and change this right after the 15 to change this to app reg new dot ASPX. In here, we're going to see that we can generate a client ID and a client secret. For the title, you can call this Trove. For the app domain, you can do login.salesforce.com. And then here's where we want to paste that URL that we copied earlier. And then I'm going to click Create. And there the app identifier has been successfully created. Our next step is to take this client ID and the client secret and use those to finish configuring the auth provider. So I'm going to copy the client ID and click Edit on the auth provider. And that one goes into the consumer key. Let me go back over here in the client secret. I'm going to copy that one. And that one goes into the consumer secret. Looks like I got some extra spaces in there. And then next up is the authorized endpoint URL and the token endpoint URL. For the authorized endpoint URL, I'm going to copy and paste it. So we'll put this in the instructions as far as what this endpoint URL should be for you. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to click Save. For this next step, we're going to go back over into Office 365 and where we created that app identifier, what I want you to do is to grab the client ID and let's copy that. And then next up, I want you to change the URL to be, instead of the app reg new, I want it to be app inv.aspx. And then on this page, what I want you to do is to paste in what we just copied, then click Lookup, and that fills this in. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste something from the instructions. And then my next step from here is I want to click Create. Then it'll say, do you trust Trove? And click Trust It. And then we're back to the site settings. Next up, I want to create a name credential inside of Salesforce. So I'm going to go back over into Salesforce. I'm going to click in the Search All Setup. I'm going to type in named and then select Name Credentials. And here I want to create a new name credential. And for the name of that, I'm going to do SharePoint space SBC. And then for the URL, too many T's in there. Danny.sharepoint.com. And then for identity type, I want to use name principal. For authentication protocol, I'm going to use OAuth 2.0. And for the provider in here, use SharePoint. And then I want to click on Start Authentication Flow on Save. Click that and click Save. It pops up, you're over in Office 365. Do you trust Trove? Click on Trust It. Then you're back over into Salesforce. It's asking about, do you want to authenticate external data connection? Click Allow. And there we have the name credential all set up. Next up, we want to do some custom settings. So over in the Search All Setup, I'll type in Custom Settings, select that. And here I see the Trove configuration, so I want to click on Manage there. And then I'm going to click New. And for the name, I'm going to call it Trove Configuration. The name credential, you'll want to use period, underscore, underscore, and then we're going to type in our name credential, what we used for that. That was SharePoint underscore SVC for the name. And this is the document library path, and what's nice is each one of these has little tool tips for you as well. But if I go look over inside of Office 365, the document library that I used was Salesforce, and the site was Sales. Sometimes this is like /sites and then the location. So just whatever you have here for the location of your site, you want to keep that in mind. So if I go back over here to document library path, I'm going to type in Salesforce, and Salesforce again. And here, the relative URL, I'm going to put /sales. And then here, I'm going to put the top level domain here to HTTPS danny.sharepoint.com. So I'm just, you could get that from up here just from copying and pasting this as well. So I'll click Save. All right, we're almost there. We just need to go and set up the page layouts for opportunities and accounts. So let me go into opportunities. I'll select a specific opportunity and then click on Edit Layout. In here, I want to go ahead and add a new section. I'll put a new section. And here, wherever you want to see your files, I'm going to call this Files and do it as a 1-column layout. Click OK. And then I want to go select Visual Force Pages, select Trove for opportunities, drop that on, click Save. And now you should see this UI. So Files, choose File for this opportunity. We'll come back and test this in a little bit. Let's go do the same thing over for accounts real quickly. Drop into an account, click Edit Layout. And let's drop a section in. And we'll call this one Files as well. 1 column. Okay. And then we want to go down to Visual Force Pages, and then you see Trove for accounts. Drop that in. Click Save. Finally, let's go test our installation. So here on the Acme page, let's go and upload a file. So I'm going to click on Choose File. I'll just do a sample presentation. Click Save. And now we see that file. If I click on the file name, it opens it up in PowerPoint Online. What's nice about this is I can go and if I want to say edit presentation, I can either do it on PowerPoint Online or in PowerPoint client. If I just do, I'm going to do PowerPoint Online here and just show, like if I change the date here to 15, you can see down here it's saying saving. So once that's done, it's saved. I'll close this down and go back to this and just to make sure the changes were saved. So you can see that updated document. So let's go and do the same thing over for opportunities. And in opportunities, let's choose a file. I'll do a little sample proposal. Click Save. And we can see that sample proposal. If I click on that document, and here it's pulled up, and I can do Edit in Word Online. Just put some updates. See down here it's saving, and close this down and open that back up again. Let's go look at what's happening over in Office 365. If I go into the Salesforce document library, let me go up here and refresh. You can see the Acme, this is for the account, and this is for the opportunity. And if I look in here, I can click on the folder. There's my sample presentation. And here's my sample proposal. So you're all set. Congratulations.